It is 5 o'clock and it is May the 2nd, and I want to welcome everyone in attendance. We didn't quite expect this much of a turnout this afternoon, but so glad to see you. Welcome everyone to our staff and our county staff who have joined us today, and to all of those who are watching on YouTube or on live streaming this afternoon. Noting that we have all councillors in attendance, I will call this meeting to order. And we'll begin with a land acknowledgement. Over to you.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash, unceded First Nation, and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. We also recognize the Métis, whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. We extend our gratitude to all Anishinaabe and Métis people and their descendants, past, present, and future, who continue to care for and inhabit these lands and tend these waters.
Thank you, Councillor Greenfield. I will ask you all to join us in a moment of reflection as we consider the business before us this afternoon. Thank you. Is there any disclosure of interest, pecuniary or otherwise, in any of the proceedings today? Seeing none, we will move into our planning meeting. We're here today to learn about two site-specific proposals to amend land use planning permissions applying to certain lands in the municipality of Meaford, and also to learn about a draft new community improvement plan. It's important for me to note that the Planning Act requires that a person who may later wish to file an appeal to council's decision on any of the matters that we've discussed today must either provide verbal comments today or provide written comments to council before the amendments are passed. The intention of this requirement is that only those people who have taken the time and the care to learn about the proposal and to engage in the planning process may have the opportunity to appeal a decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. While council is legally required to make decisions that conform to the county and local official plans, our guiding policies encourage us to reach out to you, members of this community, to hear your thoughts about the proposed changes. We have a variety of legal tools available to us that we can apply to development to help us ensure that new uses can coexist with existing uses with as minimal an impact as possible. Your constructive comments will help us learn more about the neighborhood, which will in turn will help staff and council to select the right tools to manage the change effectively and in a manner that honors our community values and our priorities. So those who have pre-registered for today's meetings will have an opportunity to speak remotely or in person. We have 2 of those. You do not have to be solely in support or in opposition. It's okay to share your thoughts about those elements that you do or that you don't like, and to ask questions as well. While the applicant will have an opportunity to respond to questions and comments at the end of the meeting, in some cases, we may need to have staff carry out research on the matters raised and to provide answers at a later date. So we will now begin with this first public meeting to order. This is a public meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Meaford to consider a red line revision to the draft plan of subdivision, the Meaford official plan amendment, and zoning bylaw amendment for 206080 Highway 26 on Sykes Street North, commonly referred to as the Meaford Haven subdivision. This meeting is a mandatory part of the planning process, which has been set out by the Planning Act. Based on the rules in the Act, there must be at least 20 days notice given to residents within 120 meters of the property. And I note that the notice of the zoning bylaw amendment was issued on March the 29th, 2022, giving more than the required 20 days notice. So off we go. First, I will ask Margaret Potter, our senior planner, to share a brief description of the application and to provide us with any public and agency comments that have been received to date. Margaret?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In 2012, a subdivision commonly referred to as Meaford Haven received conditional subdivision approval together with necessary policy amendments. And since that time, the lands are subject to new ownership. The new owner, Warren D. Sinclair Construction Limited, through their agent, Georgian Planning Solutions, have submitted applications that would modify the block plan structure at the north end of the overall subdivision. The area affected is north of the existing stream, generally north of County Crescent, and east of the future new road intersection with Sykes Street North, also Highway 26. In this area, they propose to reduce the size of the future commercial block along Sykes Street North, recognizing that the originally planned medical clinic has already been built elsewhere, and to reduce the size of the stormwater management block based on the progression of detailed design for that feature, which in turn result in an increased size of the adjacent future residential block. No change is proposed to the street pattern or environmental protection lands as previously designed. As indicated, this public meeting will consider 3 applications necessary to facilitate these requested changes to the northeast portion of the property, including the red line revision to the draft plan of subdivision, for which the County of Grey is the approval authority. And often a public meeting is not required for a red line revision, but it is included today because it is because of the associated proposed policy amendments. Also, there's a Municipality of Meaford official plan amendment for which the County of Grey is also the approval authority if the amendment is adopted by this council first. And third, the zoning bylaw amendment for which the Municipality of Meaford is the approval authority. Although there are 2 decision makers on this development, staff from both municipalities are working collaboratively on these files, and no decisions will be made without input from both Meaford and the county, as well as the input we hear from members of the public today and partner agencies. The whole of the subdivision remains subject to the conditions of the original draft plan of subdivision, and site plan approval will be required for future commercial or multi-residential development blocks. I believe the applicant team is here and will be presenting further details of their application. I will simply provide a summary of the processes to date and next steps. The applications were deemed complete in late January. An earlier public meeting date had been planned, but due to a technical anomaly, it was found that not all intended recipients were notified. So a notice of complete application and a rescheduled public meeting was given in accordance with the Planning Act on March 29th, being more than 20 days prior to today's meeting. In addition to the stipulated notice requirements, notice was also sent to the contacts that were on file from the original public process, where there were complete public contact information still available. Comments received since that notice went out include agency comments from Bell Canada with no objection, but requesting conditions to clarify responsibilities for network infrastructure and future notice. From Blue Water District School Board with no objection, but requesting sidewalks be included throughout the development to promote walkability, and requesting conditions to clarify accommodation and busing limitations, and requesting future notice. Canada Post provided questions about the final form of development and indicated that further comments are anticipated at the detailed design stage for each block. And we do anticipate future comments from MTO and the Conservation Authority. I believe the comments from the agencies have been provided to council in their original form. And with respect to public comments, a number of questions have been received to clarify the applications and requests received to be on the notice list or the public meeting list, but no specific comments in writing from the public. We look forward to hearing from the public tonight, and staff will consider both written and oral comments received together with departmental, agency, and peer review comments as part of any future report to council on these applications. Responses to the comments and questions raised will be considered by any future staff report, the timing of which has not yet been determined. Tonight, we look forward to hearing from the public and yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. I understand that the owners of Warren D. Sinclair Construction Limited are in attendance with their planner. And they will be providing a presentation on their behalf, but the applicant's planner, Kristen Rennie, is here with us now, and I will call on you to come forward. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm in control, right? This is me. Yep. Thank you. My name is Kristen Rennie. I'm from Georgian Planning Solutions, and I'm the agent acting on behalf of the property owners of Meaford Haven, whom you now know are in attendance as well with me tonight. The purpose of the public meeting tonight is to consider a red line revision to an already approved draft plan of subdivision. And in order to implement the changes that we're proposing, we also require an official plan and a zoning bylaw amendment. Property is located at 206080 Highway 26, legally described as Plan 309, Part Lot 1697 in the municipality of Meaford. As Margaret noted, the red line revision is only a portion of the approved draft plan of subdivision, and it's in the northern portion of the development. So Block 2, Block 4, and Block 11. The area outlined in red is currently designated urban, highway, commercial, and zoned convenience commercial. And the proposal is to take those lands and add them to Block 4, which is a future residential condo block. In addition, the blue area that's identified on the plan is a portion of land from an stormwater management block, which will also be added to Block 4, the residential portion of the development. There are several reasons why we're moving forward with a red line revision. One was already noted by Margaret, that when this subdivision was originally approved, there were no medical facilities on this side of town. And so that was a priority at the time. And so we created the block in order to accommodate that. Time has passed and the medical facility has already been developed. And so that need is not required anymore in this side of town. In addition, the landowners have a different development idea for the property. Moving forward, things have changed, market demands, and there is a need for housing in our area. In relation to the stormwater management block, that's the blue area, as mentioned again by Margaret, we have been working through some detailed design, and it's been determined that we don't need that much space in order to accommodate the uses that are moving forward on Block 4. And some of the other areas within the development. So that area would be also added to the residential block. As mentioned, moving forward, if approved, we would require an official plan amendment as well. The area that's hatched on the plan is currently designated urban highway commercial and would need to be changed to urban living area in order to permit the residential use within that area. We also require a zoning bylaw amendment. Again, the hatched area is currently zoned convenience commercial C2-239-H5, and we would need to rezone that to the RM zone, which is the residential multiple zone. And then the smaller little sort of tail at the end there is currently zoned open space, which would also need to be rezoned to residential multiple in order to implement the changes. And that's essentially what we are asking for. Oh, I forgot I did those fancy things. I just thought that I would also take the opportunity to talk about our first phase, because I anticipate that maybe that might be some of the questions that might come up at this meeting today. And so the plan is that block 4 that we're adding these lands to would be a 55 unit townhouse development. And also as part of phase 1, we would be constructing Street A and the stormwater management block. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, thank you. At this point, I will just put that on hold for a moment, and we have one pre-registration for virtual attendance to speak to this. So I will call on Melanie Johns. Is Melanie with us? No? All right. We don't have anyone then registered to speak on this matter this afternoon, but certainly welcome any questions from the audience, anyone who is participating this afternoon. If there's anyone who wishes to speak for or against, or just let us know what you think of this proposal, please come forward now. I don't see anyone coming forward. So I will ask council if there's any questions, comments. Deputy Mayor. And
thank you very much, Your Worship, and good afternoon, everyone. Great to see so many folks joining us today. First of all, it's just wonderful to see this project going forward. As Kristen mentioned, it has been in the works for some time, and we've been seeing the sign on the highway for many years. So it's great to see this getting to this stage. So my question for you, Kristen, thinking of the first phase that you mentioned, and also recognizing that we have loon call underway across the highway, and you mentioned 55 towns. Is it your understanding that these towns may be complementary of the ones across the highway, understanding that loon call is what we might consider an attainable development according to the price points they've been promoting? And do we know if this one may be similar, or is it a higher end, or do we have any sense of what type of towns they'll be building?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I know that across the way, Loon Call does have a provision as part of their affordable housing. I guess that there are some not constraints, but some restrictions in terms of moving forward with the purchase of that property. Not the property, the townhouses, like an agreement that you can't sell for profit, et cetera, et cetera. However, on this property, they are townhouses. The townhouse type use is a more affordable type of housing being built, but there are no plans to have a similar program to the Loon Call development at this point.
okay, Councillor Kentner.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to Kristen. Have you any idea at this point of the timing of construction?
Through you, Madam Mayor, we are madly working forward on our detailed engineering drawings so we can get the submission in. So the plan is in the next 4 to 6 weeks to have a submission in, get it approved, and hopefully get some site work in the late summer, early fall, if we can make that happen. Yep, just wanted to confirm.
And could you venture a price point for these townhouses?
I cannot, because that is not my expertise, and I'm not sure if there you go, hands up from the owner. So
houses that we're proposing will be net zero, which will be a feather in Meaford's cap. There isn't a lot of net zero developments that are happening in Ontario at this point. We're hoping to do the whole project net zero. Our price point is going to be probably $650,000, $700,000.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Bartley, and then Councillor Greenfield.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks to the public for coming. It's really good to see people out and showing an interest. At one time, somebody deemed the stormwater management section important to this development, and now you're saying it's not. What changed that we don't need that section as stormwater management?
I don't think that we mentioned that the stormwater management block will still be there. We're just taking a slight little sliver out of it in order to sort of square up the development opportunity on the residential portion. So we've now done the detailed engineering work. The plan isn't finished, but the work has been done and it's been sized to accommodate the needs of that block, which doesn't need as large of a block at this point.
Thank you.
Councillor Greenfield.
Thank you, Your Worship. And my question is sort of a follow-up to Councillor Bartley's. I was wondering about the stormwater management block reduction too. So by conversion from a medical center and some commercial units to residential, is that going to mean there will be less stormwater runoff? And if that is the case, why is that? Why does that happen? Is that less asphalt in the townhouses?
Through you, Madam Mayor. I don't think that originally when that block was created, the detailed engineering work was not completed at that point. And so now that we know what we're going to build, they've done the work, they've done the numbers, and they know the size of the facility that's required to accommodate what we're proposing to be developed. So we don't need as large of a block for the stormwater management. And in addition, that is not the only stormwater block on this property. There is another one. So it doesn't accommodate that block that we're taking the little sliver from is not for the whole development. It's just for a small portion of the development.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor, back to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Kristen, I wonder if I could ask you about the entrance. I believe I'm seeing one entrance from Highway 26. And I wondered if you could speak to that in relation to the entrance to Loon Call. Is it sort of directly across? And will that require, do we think, any stoplights or anything of that nature?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there is coordination between the two developments in terms of the location of that entrance. Off the top of my head, I cannot recall if there is a requirement. I know there's a turning lane, but I don't think that there's a light for that area. Maybe I might ask Rob.
Through your worship, the traffic impact studies that have been undertaken for both developments indicate that when development exceeds 103 units with both developments, that there's a requirement for turning the lanes initially. I don't think we fully reviewed to a point where we know if traffic lights were required, but we know turning lanes are required after the 103rd unit.
Okay. Councillor Vickers.
Yep, thank you, Your Worship. Not so much a question, but looking forward to the owners and yourself, Kristen, and the engineers and the planning department can get this all figured out and get a good set of plans all put together, and that we can proceed and get some much needed housing built onto the property. So I would like to thank the owners for working as hard as they have to get this development going. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kristen. Rob, sorry.
Your worship, now that I'm up here, I wanted to clarify one of the comments that was made as it relates to Loon Call and the townhouses to the north. They're not restricted in any way by the municipality for the form of development. That's just their business model on the type of units they're doing. I think there was a comment made that there was an agreement limiting them to the form. There is no agreement. That's just their business model. So just for clarification purposes.
Kristen, could you elaborate, or maybe the owner could, on for our listening public and us as well, what net zero means?
I'm gonna let Warren or Dan.
That's okay. Hi there. With net zero, the homes will have solar panels on the roof and they will produce more energy than they consume. And that's assuming hydro allows us to move ahead with that.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Just wanted that clarification. And I'm just wondering if there is some indication of the size of the units.
I've been told 1,500 square feet.
1,500. Family size, thank you. Anything further from council? And seeing none, I will ask Scott Taylor if there's any comments coming from the County of Grey.
Thank you, Mayor Compass and members of council. We have no comments at this time. I was mostly here today to answer any questions on behalf of the county and more importantly, to listen to any questions from the public or members of council. So I appreciate the invite here tonight.
Thanks for attending. And then over to you, Denise, if you have any comments from our planning service development services team.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I don't have any additional comments at this time.
Okay. So Ms. Rennie, I'll ask if you have anything further to add at this point. No? All right. Well, I certainly appreciate everyone's coming to for this particular matter, and this matter will now be referred back to Development Services staff to follow up on any information, additional information that's required. And once they are satisfied that all necessary information has been provided to provide a recommendation to council on this application, a detailed planning report will be brought back to council to assist us in our decision making. This report will evaluate how the proposal does or does not satisfy the provincial, county, and municipal policies that must be considered as part of council's decision. It will also explore the various public and agency comments received regarding the application, noting those tools which may be applied in order to address concerns raised and to mitigate potential impacts on nearby properties. So if anyone listening to us wishes to receive mailed notice of future decision on this file, please provide your information on that. And I too just want to thank the owners and to you, Kristen, for coming this evening. We are all looking forward to this. We know we've been watching it carefully for many years and so happy to see it finally come to the next step. So thank you very much for participating this evening. And with that, we'll close that part of our meeting. And I'll move on now to the second zoning, number 2 zoning bylaw amendment. Again, a public meeting of the Council of Municipality of Meaford to consider a proposed zoning bylaw amendment for 29 Sykes Street North. Again, this is a mandatory part of the planning process, which has been set out by the Planning Act. And based on the rules in the Act, of course, we must have at least 20 days notice given to residents within 120 meters of the property. And I note that on April the 8th, 2022, notice was given to the public. So again, we will begin with our senior planner, Margaret Potter, to share a brief description of the application and to provide us with any public or agency comments that we've received to date. Over to you, Margaret.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The owners of 29 Sykes Street North through agent Andrew Piscuzzo have submitted a rezoning application that would provide for the adaptive reuse of the former Stedman's department store for a range of commercial uses, including a hotel, restaurant, and retail store. The proposed design maintains the existing original building with a new addition in behind. A drop-off pickup area is proposed at the rear, accessed from the municipal parking lot, and improvements to the existing pedestrian pathway linking Sykes Street to this parking lot are also proposed. These lands are in the designated downtown core commercial area of the Meaford official plan, which applies to the traditional commercial district and envisions it as the focal point for commerce and hospitality, encouraging, among other matters, the maximum use of existing buildings to accommodate a wide range of uses and the preservation and enhancement of historic features. The proposal will require site plan approval, and as the lands are within the Heritage Conservation District, a heritage permit application has also been submitted. However, detailed design for the site plan and heritage permit cannot be finalized until the zoning is addressed. As indicated, this public meeting considers specifically the zoning bylaw amendment application. No decisions will be made without input we hear from members of the public today and partner agencies. And I do believe the applicant team will be presenting details of their application. I'll just provide an overview of the process and comments to date and next steps. The zoning bylaw amendment application was deemed complete at the end of March, and notice of the complete application and public meeting was given April 8th, being more than 20 days prior to today. And comments received prior to this meeting include agency comments from the County of Grey, which indicate that the lands are in the primary settlement area and will require full municipal servicing. And in summary, they have no concern provided the proponent does not propose to store fuel on site. Municipal staff are satisfied regarding the general safety of the nearby petroleum well, which is approximately a block away. Positive comments be received from the MTO. The proponent and municipality consider the loss of residential units in relation to the proposed development, and any off-street parking is arranged through an agreement between the developer and the municipality. With respect to public comments, a letter was received from Michael Sandblom and Viz Sarabi, whose comments are in favor of the proposed design, and I believe the comments in full have been provided to council. And others requested the Zoom link will be invited to speak shortly, I believe. Tonight, we look forward to hearing from the public, and staff will consider both written and oral comments received together with departmental, agency, and peer review comments as part of any future report to council on the applications. Responses to the comments and questions received will be considered as part of any future staff report, and the timing of that has not yet been determined. But we do look forward to hearing from everyone's input tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. And welcome to the members of the applicant team here that we have with us tonight. I will now call on the applicant's planner, Andrew Pascuso, to review the proposal in more detail. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you, Your Worship. My name is Andrew Pascuso. I'm a registered professional planner with my own firm, Pascuso Planning Inc. in Collingwood. I'm here today on behalf of the owner of the property, 29 Sykes Inc. One of the owners is attending and participating, willing to participate in the meeting tonight. His name is Jeremy Creed. In addition, I'm also joined by the two designers of the proposed project, Judah and Nasli from 10-4 Architecture. So I do have a brief presentation, but obviously we're here to listen to any comments. I'd just like to say this is the first in-person public meeting I've been to in a while, and it's a pleasure to be back in person. Also, it's very interesting. We've got the ability for the hybrid too to have virtual attendees as well. So kudos to you for holding the in-person meeting. In terms of the presentation, obviously Margaret's already introduced the application, which is a zoning bylaw amendment and site plan approval for 29 Sykes Street North in the town of Meaford. We've also got a heritage permit that's just waiting for the zoning bylaw amendment to move through the process. The slide in front of us now is an image of the current conditions. It's obviously the old Stedman store. You can see it's a 3-story building. I would say it's the character, the heritage character of the building is the first thing that jumps out to me. And it's the one thing that we've tried to incorporate and basically leave as is. There are some enhancements that we're proposing to make to it, but in general, we'd like to protect the heritage features of the building. Currently, we have first floor commercial, second floor residential apartment, as well as third floor residential apartment too. Just jump the slide there. It's an aerial photo of the property. It's approximately 540 square meters with frontage on Sykes Street North, 14 meters approximately. You can see the pointer is going to work here, but this is the municipal parking lot. We've got Trowbridge Street to the south and obviously Sykes Street North that the property fronts on. This is a profile of the existing building on the property. So Sykes Street is, I'll call it stage right, and the municipal parking lot is stage left. So we've got an existing 3-story building at the front with a 1-story building continuing about a third of the way back to almost the back portion of the property. You can see the stairs that allow access to the residential apartments above. You can see the profile here shows a height of 12.5 meters at Sykes Street currently. Just going to go back one here. The other thing I'd like to just indicate, I'm sure some of you have walked through it, but there is a pedestrian pathway, I'll call it. Currently, vehicles can cross through this pathway between 29 Sykes and the property to the north. So the project team that has been assembled by the owner consists of, as I said, the architecture design team at 10-4 and Rockside is also assisting. Jim Campbell is a local architect in the area, a local designer in the area. CF Crozier and Associates is taking part in the servicing, stormwater management and parking options. The surveyor was Neil Milne, who's an Ontario land surveyor. We've also done a cultural heritage study by Robertson Martin Architects, and rounding out the team is myself. So I always start when I wake up in the morning and I go to bed at night, I ask myself, what is good planning? We have to look at the principles of development. In this case, we've got a property that's located in the county of Grey with its official plan designating the property as a primary settlement area, which is intended to be the target for growth and development. Municipalities with primary settlement areas will, in their official plans, identify and plan for intensification within these areas. It's worth noting that the proposed use, being a hotel, is a permitted use in the Meaford official plan. And we obviously have to consider the development of high quality urban form and open public spaces within these areas. Here's the Grey County official plan. You can see in red, that's the settlement area of the town of Meaford. We are within the primary settlement area, and you can see that the subject lands are indicated there. So this is your official plan, the Meaford official plan, which designates the property in that pinkish color, which is currently designated as downtown core commercial. Permitted uses within the downtown core commercial designation include the uses that are being proposed on the property, which is retail use, the hotel, inn, bed and breakfast establishments, and a restaurant. Just like to state that we conform with your official plan in terms of the use we're proposing. Moving through to the zoning bylaw, property is currently zoned downtown core commercial C1 zone. Subject lands are indicated in yellow there. Permitted uses within the downtown commercial C1 zone include a hotel, restaurant, retail store, and accessory uses. So the proposal. We are proposing maintaining the existing 3-story frontage of the building and stepping back to a 4-story building at the rear of the property. There's quite a few architectural design images that will be showed later in the presentation. We're proposing 20-unit hotel with 1 and 2 bedrooms. There'll be a lobby on the 1st floor with an elevator allowing access from the 1st to the 4th floor. The ancillary restaurant will have a capacity of 46 people, which will be located on the 1st floor. Proposing currently a rooftop deck, pool, sauna, and hot tub. There'll be retail space, a minor amount of retail space on the 1st floor. We've obviously front on Sykes Street, as I've indicated previously. In terms of the access points, there'll be 2. Obviously, the main one will be the front of the building. There will be rear access to the municipal parking lot and Trowbridge Street further to the east. A portion of the building will be cantilevered over the alleyway or the pedestrian walkway, which I indicated previously, to the north. We're proposing walkway enhancements, which will be indicated on some images later on in the presentation. Most importantly would be an accessible ramp, which would allow pedestrian access from Sykes Street to the municipal parking lot and back. There's also 2 landscape courtyards proposed in the interior of the site. And in total, we've got just over 1,400 square meters of floor area. This image shows the front of the building, the proposed exterior. We're facing east from Sykes Street. You can see the pedestrian walkway that currently exists. This is the cantilevered section of the building to take advantage of it. In terms of the architecture, the image here indicates that the 4th story at the rear of the building, because it's been stepped back, is not visible from the street. So it will fit the character of the existing streetscape. This is an image from the back of the building, the back of the proposed building, so facing west from the municipal parking lot. Once again, you can see the pedestrian walkway to the north of the building. Here's the wheelchair ramp as well as stairs. This would be the main entrance from the back of the building with the loading area here. Another profile, this is of the proposed building. You saw the existing building previously, which basically, as I said, has been retained as the same. The main addition to the building would be, I'll describe it as this section here visually, which is the second, third, and fourth floors that we're proposing in the rear 2/3 of the site. You can also see the basement on this image actually, which currently exists. There'll be storage down in the basement too. So proposing to activate, this is, I guess, the north profile of the building. So it shows potentially activating some entrances or the retail uses off of what I'll call the pedestrian walkway. It kind of provides a unique experience. I'll show you some images later of what that potentially could look like, but we'd like to activate that pedestrian alleyway and allow kind of an interesting walk through to the municipal parking lot and leading on to, most importantly, the waterfront and access to the waterfront from Sykes Street. This is a rendering of what the building would look like from above. Obviously, Sykes Street is stage left down in this corner. The municipal parking lot would be at the section stage right of the building. So you can see here the courtyards. This image projects the courtyards very well, as well as the fourth floor deck, which would allow visibility out to the waterfront, the pool, as well as access for users of the hotel to take advantage of the rooftop amenity there. As you can see, the front of the building is basically left as is. This is probably difficult to read, but it's basically the site plan or the first floor layout. We are proposing currently a patio off of Sykes. This is the restaurant or seating area with the bar, the main lobby in this area as well too. Additional seating, washrooms. We've got, kitchen area back in here as well. This would be the main flow for people entering at the rear of the building. There would be a drop-off location, and then vehicles potentially would be valeted, parking off-site. I'll get into some parking options. There's probably going to be some questions about what our parking options are here. Unfortunately, the site doesn't allow any on-site parking, so we do have some options that I'll list on a later slide. Loading would come off the back side of the building as well, as was indicated previously, and the elevators at the rear of the building as well too. This is kind of a schematic of flow for vehicle traffic as well as pedestrian parkings. So in red, we've got the flow of pedestrian traffic as we see it happening. We've got the front of the building here off of Sykes. We've got the main original 3-story, the courtyards that are proposed, and the access to the rear addition. This is the proposed pedestrian only laneway with the wheelchair ramp in this area. This is the existing municipal parking lot. Right now we're proposing, as I said, vehicle traffic. So drop off would occur at the rear of the building with valet parking potentially exiting, and parking would occur off-site. If there's any questions about this from the public, I'm more than happy to address them at a later date. In terms of the streetscape or the architecture features of the building, you can see again that this slide is the purpose of this slide is to show the existing height of buildings and what the streetscape looks like. So you can see the first image shows the existing buildings along Sykes, predominantly 2- and 3-story buildings. The second image shows what's being proposed. I'll call it next door. There's an application made to the municipality previously, and the zoning bylaw amendment was approved for additional height. So I believe the buildings to the the north are proposed at 17 meters. And those properties are currently known as 35 through to 47 Sykes. The subject lands, you can see here with the old Stedman sign here. Here's what we're proposing. As you can see, the 4-story step back is difficult, if not impossible, to see from the street line. So we think that the proposed height fits in with the current character, and it doesn't infringe on anyone walking down the street in terms of the additional height that's being proposed. We obviously support what's going on next door as well too. We think it will add to the downtown flair, and it will also provide additional housing for those that want to live and reside in the downtown. So obviously, as part of the application, we believe that protecting the heritage of the facade of the front of the building is foremost, and that's why the cultural heritage study was completed, which suggests that what we're proposing is consistent with the current layout of the downtown area. The next 2 slides just reference the existing situation of the pedestrian. Right now, it's sometimes used for vehicle passage as well too. We think that enhancing this location by activating it with entrances to our building, as well as adding landscape elements, the wheelchair access, will allow those that are coming to the downtown core a safe access through this location. And as I said before, further on to the waterfront. Here are some opportunities to activate the entrance or the pedestrian walkway, as I've indicated. Getting back to the parking options, we've discussed with staff a few options. So there is the option for cash in lieu of parking. There's the potential use of the existing municipal parking lot. Another option would be an off-site parking agreement with the developer to the north. Obviously, there's the opportunity there. Longer term, I think something shorter term would have to be worked out. Off-site parking agreement with other nearby landowners, or a combination of all of the above. I think it's safe to say we haven't come to a conclusion on how parking will be dealt with, but we're here tonight to present some options to the municipality and hear from neighbors that may be concerned. So, in terms of the actual zoning amendment itself, it will look fairly simple. We're basically unable to add parking to the site because of the building taking up all of the property currently, and the proposed building basically taking on the same footprint. So we're asking for an increase from height from 11 meters to 16.5. And as I stated previously, the front of the building is currently 12.5 meters. It's worth indicating that the zoning bylaw amendment that was recently approved to the north has been approved for 17 meters in height. And with regard to the other site-specific zoning amendment requests, we're asking for either cash in lieu of parking, off-site parking, or a combination of cash in lieu and off-site parking. And then there will have to be a reduction in the minimum number of total parking spaces required. And unfortunately, there will be no ability to locate on-site barrier-free parking spaces or a loading space. The standard loading space will just not fit at the back of the building that's built into your current zoning bylaw. I just emphasize that there will be a loading dock, it just won't meet the standard of the bylaw. So that's the end of my presentation. I apologize for being rather lengthy, but it's a fairly detailed proposal. So here to answer any questions, but thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Well, thank you for a very detailed presentation. Very interesting concept. We do have one pre-registration for virtual attendance at this meeting, and I will ask if we have Tony Hay Rose with us. No, don't have him either. Okay. All right, again, I'll open it up to any comments or questions from those in attendance here today. If anyone would like to comment or against, please come forward. If you can let us know who you are, and if you haven't registered, you will need your contact information.
Yes.
And your mask is optional if you feel
Okay.
comfortable.
My name is Gerald Moody. I'm a new citizen of Meaford. I've lived in Toronto most of my life. Now do economic development around the world. And I love the concept of this hotel. The problem I have with it as a citizen of Meaford is that I look at the hotel and then I also look at the new development beside it. And you're probably looking at maybe 100 cars with the two developments that are now going to have to be parked. And I think this problem will only continue to grow as Meaford develops. And I guess my suggestion at this point would be is that I had the luxury of speaking to a planner in the city of Singapore, and they have a 50-year plan to avoid these types of issues. And I think that having lived in Toronto, we see the results of not planning ahead, particularly for parking. So all I would suggest is that I would love to see this project be approved, but I think parking is really a consideration that has to be addressed. And the suggestion may be a multi-level parking lot that will accommodate all of the development in the core, and that a new development like this, unfortunately, will have to pay towards spots in that multi-level parking garage. But I just feel that to approve this project is being myopic in the challenges that Meaford is going to face down the road as development expands and parking becomes limited. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Moody, and welcome to Meaford.
Thank you
Glad to
very
have
much. I love it.
Good comment. Thank you. Anything further? Please come forward. Mr. Heppel.
Thank you, Your Worship. My name is Jim Heppel. I own the property directly east of the Stedman store, across the parking lot. I'm not speaking for or against the project. I certainly like the looks of it. I think that my late father-in-law, who owned that building for many years and rented it out, would certainly like the looks of that, the plan. And my late wife, who grew up in her teenage years in the apartments upstairs in that building, would be very happy to see what might happen there. My concern is about the sauna, the swimming pool, the hot tub at the rear of that building, which is not really a stone's throw from my building, which has apartments in it. And my concern would be for my tenants who might be calling me and saying, there's an awful lot of noise from up there. I'd like to express that concern now, and probably we'll get an answer that it won't be a problem. I certainly hope so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else care to comment on this? Okay, I will ask council, members of council. Any comments, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. And I just want to begin by welcoming Mr. Creed, Mr. Pascuzzo, and your team to Meaford. This is a very exciting project for our downtown, and we're very pleased to see you here with us today. I do have two questions, Your Worship, if I may. First of all, in relation to the parking, I think we as council understand that that is one of the major concerns related to this project. And I look forward to hearing from staff with any of their thoughts on how this problem might be solved. And I don't know if staff are ready to address that today or not, but I will look forward to your thoughts. And I appreciate Mr. Moody's suggestion of a tiered parking garage. I think that is certainly something that we need to be looking at to accommodate all of the needs upcoming in our downtown core. And I don't know if there is any idea at this point in time of how many parking spots may be needed to accommodate both staff and guests. So I don't know if there's an answer to that, or if staff have anything to add on the parking side of things today.
Over to you, Denise.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a lot to add about the parking. It's certainly something that we're reviewing and we're discussing with the applicant's team. And we are cognizant of that long-term issue of parking to allow for other things, not just this development to move forward, and that is more of a strategic discussion, and as well as certainly timely for this project and other ones that are happening around the municipality, especially downtown. So that's really all I have to add, is just that we are well aware of the parking issue. And I know that staff have been talking about this for some time, about what to do about long-term about parking.
Thank you. Anything, Councillor Kentner?
Thank you, Your Worship. And through you, maybe a question to Rob. My question really concerns the properties to the north of this development. And my question is, we keep seeing these drawings of this very large development, which was approved, I think it was said maybe 5 years or so ago. So what is the status of that development? We see the existing buildings deteriorating. We just don't hear anything about what is going to happen there. So thank you.
Over to you, Rob.
Yeah. Your Worship, the status is they have their zoning approval, but before development, they have to come back to us with a heritage impact assessment. The elevations you see do not reflect the approval that was given. There was some conditions of approval that were applied, that you have to maintain some of the facades of some of the buildings that are worth saving. So that's it. I think the key thing is, and again, it's going to circle back to the parking, is that we have had a meeting with both the owner of the proposal before council tonight, the other owner, and the mercantile building owners, looking at what we can do collectively to address parking. And they are actually supposed to be coming back. Someone took a lead and supposed to be coming back to us with their ideas, and we're waiting for that.
Councillor Greenfield and Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thanks for the presentation. I do have a question for our CAO, but before I get there, the preservation of the facade on the former Stedman's building, that is amazing brickwork on the front of that building, and thank goodness in your wisdom you are planning on maintaining that. I give you marks of 110% for that. Back in the about 100 years ago, 110 years ago, downtown Meaford had 9 hotels. One was a temperance hotel. I guess 1 out of 9 ain't bad. About 100 feet away from the building we're discussing was likely our most magnificent hotel, the Paul's House. And well, this be interesting if I live long enough to be able to compare it to the old Paul's House. There are a lot of differences. I noticed the overhead shot of the parking lot. It showed only sparse parking. Now that was a bit deceiving, because that parking lot, anytime I've tried to wiggle in there, has been just about full. And I think that's got to be kept in mind in the future. My question to our CAO, we're hearing this cash in lieu of payment. Rob, how does the municipality formulate something like that? Is there an accepted rule, like does Association of Municipalities of Ontario, for instance, have a magic formula? So many spots by so many dollars. Can you give me any idea of how that might be arrived at?
Through your worship, the cash in lieu provisions actually are determined through council, and we brought a report probably about 4 or 5 years ago, updating the amount that can be paid for cash in lieu of parking. Over the last couple of years, we've taken cash in lieu for parking for a few buildings where one parking spot is required. In particular, we took it for the new bike shop that's happening beside the municipal building. Plus, we took cash in lieu for parking for one parking spot on the mercantile building. Taking cash in lieu doesn't, in staff's opinion, complete the situation because it's giving us cash and then we have to go out and find parking. The approach we want to do here is maybe we do find a location with those parties that have an interest, and then the cash gets applied to that. So that's all part of our discussion. We won't just take cash in lieu without a solution on where that parking can be, that it just transfers from the development problem to the municipal problem. So I think we need to work with them in determining that for cash in lieu. And that's why I think you saw some of the discussions on some of options that we want to work with them on.
Thanks for that, Rob. Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I keep on hearing on Facebook and different places about a multi-tiered parking. Multi-tiered parking is multi-millions of dollars. Multi-millions of dollars that this municipality doesn't have. And I don't know how you're going to come up with it. With what this municipality is facing with recreation facilities, wastewater treatment plant, I don't see a multi-tiered parking happening. And if you can come up with one, somebody else pay for it, I'm happy with that. But cash in lieu doesn't give us any more parking spots. The parking lot now is used in full. I love this design. I love this concept. I support it, but parking is a huge concern with mine, and I'm anticipating some sort of solution, but I don't see it. So good luck.
Councillor Vickers.
Through you, your worship, my question also is to do with the parking. Since there has been approval of the building block beside it, Lino's buildings, has there been any commitment to them for parking at all? Like, are we getting to the point where we've committed to other people and now we're trying to almost double commit to parking spots?
Through your worship, the approval of the adjacent properties had originally or had proposed that all of the residential parking was going to be underground parking, so underneath the buildings, with some subsurface parking, surface parking, sorry, for some of the commercial base uses on the development. So they were, as part of the original proposal, going to be able to accommodate all the parking on their own property. They're now realizing that maybe underground parking isn't the greatest solution. So now that's why we're working with all the parties to figure out the parking situation.
Please. A
So
second.
my
Supplemental.
second,
Go ahead.
no, it's a second question.
A second question. All right, go ahead.
To the developers, I just want to be clear, in the pictures that you were showing, the front of the building looked very different, a different brick, different windows and that sort of thing. Is the idea or the plan to tear the building down completely and then rebuild it to the design of the Heritage Committee or to your own? I guess I'm trying to just figure out even some of the back part of the building, will it be torn down? Because it doesn't seem like a great building back there, but I'd be interested to hear what you have to say.
Good evening, Your Worship, members of council. The existing dichromatic brickwork on the building will be conserved exactly in the state that it is. The rendering, unfortunately, just shows a different color to it, but it will be conserved in situ in the exact situation that it is.
Well done. That was the right answer, I think.
Well, I mean, if I may add to that, in terms of cultural heritage, it's not just from where we're standing as architects, given this opportunity to exert our agency on what is a very significant cultural resource. We look at it as not just a retrospective look backwards, but we look to sort of look forward and conserve with the idea that, especially, I'm sorry, Councillor, what's your name? You were talking about, 100 years ago, there were 9 hotels.
Oh, this is Councillor Greenfield.
Yes, Councillor Greenfield, right. So this dichromatic brickwork is a timestamp of a skill set that is lacking today, and a skill set that shows the dedication to work well done and the workmanship that what's the word I'm looking for, that is sustainable, sustainable over time, and it's only right that we add to that by conserving it in situ and making sure that it's preserved for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. I'll go to Deputy Mayor and then I'll come back to you.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and I really appreciate knowing that the facade will be preserved. That's really special to our downtown, so we appreciate that. I did have a question, though. We heard from the last presenters that they're going to be very focused on solar panels and making a net zero development. So I'm curious to know if you're planning any green energy or green building initiatives for this project.
Yes, Madam Deputy Mayor, we absolutely are. Part of the responsibility that we have as architects nowadays is exactly that. Anything that we do has to have a reduced ecological footprint. We are looking, the very first sort of strategies of ecological design is really rooted in the principles of daylighting and cross ventilation views, things like that. And that's what we are leveraging with this proposal. The idea to carve out those, spaces in the middle there are just not to provide, the courtyards below, but to give us, avenues to bring light into the middle of the building, as well as, to provide those views east to the harbor. In addition to that, all kinds of sort of, other ecological, strategies that we're using have to do with materiality, have to do with our choice of systems. Like, for instance, we are opting to use, instead of the traditional furnace-based systems for mechanical ventilation and heating, we are proposing, what are called heat recovery ventilator units that have a much smaller ecological footprint. And, with a heat recovery option, they provide both heating and cooling, but they use way, way less energy. So those are some of the, the strategies that we're adopting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to you, Councillor Vickers.
Thank you, Your Worship. So just to be kind of clear, the back half of the building would have to be torn down, would it not?
Yes, the existing, back part, which is just a later addition, will be torn down and replaced with a new extension. But the original 1/3 of the building to the front will see an adaptive reuse type strategy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Kentner.
So thank you, Your Worship, and through you to the proponents, maybe Mr. Creed. you're investing a lot of money in this project, and I'd just like to hear from you what you think Meaford's future is.
Thank you. Clearly, it's got a lot to do with parking. So I moved to Meaford 7 years. I became a Meaford resident 7 years ago. And when we started on this project, it was right in the middle of COVID because we ended up with a building that we couldn't find a tenant for. So we had to find a solution, and we started reading the bylaws, and oh, what do you know? A hotel was in the bylaws. And of course, on our first call with Rob, being from Toronto, I can't believe we're dealing with a parking situation again. I think, when you look at what's happening in Southern Georgian Bay and the amount of people who want to live in this area, the secret's out. Everyone knows there's something going on here. We have from what I can tell, the best waterfront in the area. We have a town that looks like a town. You drive into it, you see the water. There's activities, there's schools, there's people moving into this area because they want to be here. And it's great to see new restaurants opening. And I think the downtown, the way it's being preserved right now, is fantastic. And we need to, bring more to it. We're going to be spending a lot of money to make this happen. And, I think it's going to help others invest in the town as well. I mean, since we've started talking about it, and since we've had our first meeting with the Heritage Committee and it became somewhat public that we're going this route, we've had a lot of communication from a lot of different residents and businesses, and also a lot of other people who've talked about thinking about things and possible businesses in this area. I know we want to maintain Meaford and keep what's great about Meaford here, but we also have to grow and change with the times. So we're investing in the future. We're going to spend a lot of money. It's going to take a long time for us to get our investment back, and we're here for the long haul. So hopefully that answers your question. And while I'm on the mic, there was a comment about pools and hot tubs on the roof. We'd love to, originally that was a dream and we tried to make it work. I don't think it's going to ultimately be a reality that we're going to be able to deliver on in an area that we have to deal with winter sometimes 6 months a year. And the cost of heating and maintaining outdoor water features on a rooftop and the structural requirements to carry them are significant. So, but we would like to use the rooftop space potentially for other things because it has a fantastic view of the harbor and the lake. So I think you'll see changes in time in our proposal. Perhaps the skating rink. In terms of dealing with the town, they've been really supportive of trying to solve the parking solution, working with all sorts of different neighbors, whether we're valet parking or this and that. We know there's a long-term problem that needs to be resolved. So we're happy to be part of the solution in any way we can. Thank you.
That's good to hear. Thank you so much for that. Any further questions from council? Over to you, Denise, if you have anything to add.
Nothing further, Madam Chair.
Okay. And we've heard from you folks. We appreciate everything that you brought for us this afternoon. Is there anything further that you might want to add at this point? Seeing nothing, then I will thank you all for participating in this. Again, this will be referred to staff and the report will come back to council once all of the information has been satisfied, and it will the evaluation of how it conforms or does not satisfy the provincial, county, and municipal policies that must be taken into consideration. Again, I would encourage anyone who wants further information or mailed notice of a future decision on this file to let us know your contact information. We'd be happy to add that to the list. And with that, we will close this, bring to a close this part of the public meeting. Thank you for your attendance this afternoon. That takes us to our third meeting this afternoon, a community improvement plan update. And I will call this part of the public meeting to order. Again, this meeting is a part of the mandatory part of the planning process, which has been set out by the Planning Act and requiring the notice of the community improvement plan. And it was noticed on April 13th, 2022, giving the 20 days notice as required. So I will ask our Janet Sperling, our Manager of Strategic Initiatives, to provide a presentation that offers an overview of the community improvement plan and to provide us with any agency comments or public comments that you may have gathered to date. Over to you, Janet.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council, and everyone participating in this meeting. And as our mayor had identified, my name is Janet Sperling, and I'm the Manager of Strategic Initiatives at the municipality. And I want to thank Council for letting me come and present the updated community improvement plan today. Today's presentation is intended to provide you with a brief overview of the community improvement plan and what it is, how it provides benefit to the community, and of course, what's included in the update. See if I can get this to, oh, I went back. There we go. So the municipality of Meaford's Community Improvement Plan, or CIP, which I'll reference it as an acronym, is intended to promote long-term sustainability by establishing a collective of financial incentive programs that support private property owners, tenants, agencies, and organizations to invest in buildings and lands within the entire municipality. So this is within the intent of generating positive outcomes that contribute to the overall economic vitality of the municipality, improving quality of life for residents, and encouraging better utilization of underdeveloped properties. So getting a bit more specific, the CIP offers a menu of incentives that bolster the establishment of things like affordable housing units, grows our local economy, preserves and adds diversification in the history of our downtown core, as well as stimulates value-added agricultural uses, on-farm diversification, and tourism. So additionally, the CIP also supports our regional climate action objectives. We've been talking a lot more about climate change and how we can support that. And this program supports that by encouraging environmental sustainability through incentives that contribute in the remediation and redevelopment of brownfield lands, enhancing in energy efficiency of commercial uses, and certainly we've heard that a little bit today in the applications that we heard, and where appropriate, the installation of small-scale renewable energy systems. So the authority to prepare a CIP, so the community improvement plans are statutory plans, so they're legislated under the provincial Province of Ontario Planning Act, or OPA. And that's under Section 28 of the Act. Community improvement projects areas may only be designated where the municipality's official plan contains provisions regarding community improvement. And our current official plan does have those provisions, and that's under Section E1.6. So the CIP update has been prepared in accordance with our current legislative policies. In addition, the OPA provides permissions for establishing a CIP, and the Ontario Municipal Act also details provisions for offering financial incentives. And this includes the requirement that municipalities can neither direct or indirectly assist manufacturing businesses or other industrial or commercial enterprises through engaging in bonusing. However, municipalities that do apply a CIP program are exempt from this prohibition under the Section 28 of the OPA. The Act also outlines, and that's as far as the OPA outlines, the powers of the municipality to make grants, including the power to provide a grant in the form of a loan by guaranteeing a loan subject to meeting the criteria set out in the Act. And finally, the OPA provides the authority to allow municipalities to pass a bylaw providing tax assistance to any eligible property in the form of cancellation of all or part of the taxes levied on the property for municipal and educational purposes during the rehabilitation period and the development period of the subject property. I'm not hitting the right spot. I feel like I need to. There we go. Oh, okay, awesome. We'll get Derek. Derek's gonna support me. Thank you, Derek. So this CIP that I'm presenting to you this afternoon is a compilation of the two CIPs the municipality is currently using. In 2008, just to give you some background, in 2008, the municipality approved the first community improvement plan that focused on downtown Meaford, and that was to encourage investment in the core commercial area and in turn improve the economy for the entire municipality. Once the CIP was approved, the first grant program was initiated in 2013 as a facade grant, and it was through the interest and success of this program that prompted the CIP update in 2015 that added new incentives, which extended opportunities in the downtown to offer things like financial incentives for environmental studies, brownfield tax assistance, and tax increment-based grant. With the success that we saw with the CIP in the downtown, there was staff and council interest in establishing an incentive program beyond the downtown within a particular focus area, in the agricultural diversification and value-added producers in order to generate, again, economic enrichment across the municipality. And this really was the catalyst for establishing an economic development CIP in 2016. So since 2016, we as a municipality have offered two CIP programs, the downtown CIP and the economic development CIP. Derek, are you able to the next slide? Thank you. So in 2019, Grey County prepared and approved a community improvement plan program that would support each of its municipalities in putting together and adopting a local community improvement plan. So certainly we already had plans in place, but what the county did in addition was contributed $20,000 in annual funding to the local municipal CIP programs to assist in growing the assessment base and becoming more investment ready as a region. And the municipality in our own cells, we have been approving $50,000 to go towards CIP programming. So in total for the last number of years, we've had $70,000 in funding that we've been able to provide for incentive programs for the two current community improvement plans. So since 2019, as a result of those programs, we have seen a total of just around $447,000 in public and private investment in Meaford. So what that works out to is $365,000, or just around $365,000 in private investment and $82,000 in our public investment. So over a 3-year period, that's a pretty good return on public investment that we're seeing that is being invested in our municipality and how it's being utilized. Next slide. So this 2022 CIP is the first update that we've been able to do since the downtown and the economic CIPs have been put in place in 2016. And really this update is being done in an effort to continue to improve and make our CIP incentive programs easy to use and understand, as well as to make sure we are in alignment with community need and the county program. So the programs that were in the downtown and economic CIP and continue to be in this CIP are our Building Land and Improvement Grant and Loan Program, our Energy Efficiency Retrofit Grant and Loan Program, Study and Business Plans, and Development Charge and Municipal Fee Equivalent Grant Program, our Tax Incentive Equivalent Grant Program, and our Brownfields Tax Assistance Program. So in addition to these incentive programs, our programs have been expanded to include the following new programs. One is an affordable housing program, and this is rising from background work that was completed through 2018 and 2019 by municipal staff, which has identified the community need for additional affordable housing, and with the creation of affordable rental housing units being a particular priority. Another new program is a surplus land and building program. And finally, a third one is a tourism destination loan program that focuses on local community destinations and supporting community organizations and agencies and creating public spaces that enhance our tourism by attracting the public to the spaces and contributing to an overall positive experience. Next slide. So the objective of the CIP is to improve our energy efficiency and to foster a culture of energy conservation, to contribute to the preservation of our heritage and our built heritage assets, encourage relation or restoration, adaptive reuse of our commercial, industrial, institution, and agricultural buildings, enhance economic development, business expansion and diversification, with a particular focus on our agricultural, agritourism, and on-farm diversification. Support downtown restoration of our storefronts, publicly used frontages and streetscapes, promote development, redevelopment, remediation of lands that are brownfield, grayfield, or vacant properties, increase our attainable housing stock through the creation of new affordable rental housing units and secondary suites and secured rental housing units, all things that where they're permitted within our zoning bylaw, and promote investment into our community destinations and public spaces across the municipality. Next slide. So this slide shows the boundary of our designated community improvement project area. The boundary includes all lands within the municipality except for the Department of National Defense and Training Facility, which you'll see on this slide is highlighted in the gray area. And as part of our legislative requirements in accordance with the Ontario Planning Act for Section 28, lands that are addressed by the municipality Meaford Community Improvement Plan must be designated through an approved bylaw as a community improvement plan area, so that activities within that CIP are providing financial incentives that occur can only happen within that area. Next slide. So the next couple of slides that I have for you are just giving you a really high level overview of each of the incentive programs that are contained within this updated CIP. And the first one I have up there is the Building and Land Improvement Grant Loan Program. And really this is intended to encourage the restoration, repair, and improvement of buildings and lands for commercial, mixed use, industrial, agricultural, agriculture related on farm diversification and value added uses. So this may also encourage adaptive reuse of grayfield properties. This program also supports the restoration of buildings that exhibit significant heritage value as identified by the municipality. Now, the restoration of commercial, mixed-use, industrial, and agricultural-related farm uses located across the municipality are priority. However, it's important to note that residential and institutional uses use heritage properties located within our downtown heritage conservation district and listed on our heritage registry, or were endorsed by the municipal or the heritage committee, may also be considered. The energy conservation or efficiency and retrofit grant loan program is intended to encourage property owners to improve their energy efficiency in existing commercial, mixed use and purpose-built secured affordable rental housing units, as well as our agricultural and industrial buildings. And this is really to facilitate with the installation of small scale renewable energy systems where appropriate and applicable. This grant will also help support the viability of buildings which may be older or have some inefficient energy systems. Next slide. So the Study and Business Plan grant program is to assist property owners with financing the cost of undertaking various studies that promote economic development and diversification, as well as retention and restoration of heritage buildings, the redevelopment of brownfield lands, grayfield properties, vacant lands, and certainly the creation of purpose-built, secured, affordable rental housing units. So through this program, land and building owners within the rural areas of Meaford are encouraged to undertake studies and business planning that determine if agricultural rural lands and structures can be converted or adapted to agriculturally related on-farm diversification and value-added agriculture for any new or expanding ventures. All studies and plans are would be considered under this program should explore building and land improvements, repairs and replacement that would really result in enhanced long-term and or economic business growth. The next study or program is the Development Charges and Municipal Fee Equivalent Grant Program. And this program is intended to assist property owners in buildings with financing the cost of development or redevelopment processes by providing fee equivalent grant to offset the amount of applicable local municipal development charges and municipal fees, including things like planning application and review related fees, maybe parkland, community benefit charges, and or building permits. Next slide. So the tax increment equivalent grant program, this program is intended to provide economic incentive for the creation of affordable residential rental units and purpose-built secured affordable rental housing units, and for the rehabilitation, redevelopment of things like commercial properties, mixed-use industrial lands, and for improvement to or redevelopment of lands and buildings uses within our agricultural and on-farm diversification properties. This program provides a grant to pay a portion of the municipal taxes attributed to the increased assessment over a 10-year period. Now, although this is not structured as a tax rebate program, the effect is to phase in tax increases relating to reassessments resulting from property improvements. And the tax increment equivalent based program does not require funding on behalf of the municipality, but it is important to note that it does represent foregone revenue to the municipality. The next one is the Brownfields Tax Assistance Program, and this program is intended to encourage the remediation of our brownfield sites by providing a cancellation of part or all of the municipal property taxes on a property that's undergoing remediation and redevelopment. The Minister of Finance may provide matching education tax assistance upon application of the Brownfields Financial Tax Incentive Program that they offer. The legislative authority for this program is established under the Municipal Act, which allows municipalities to pass a bylaw providing the tax assistance to eligible properties in the form of the cancellation of all or part of the taxes that are levied on the property for municipal and educational purposes during the rehabilitation and or development period of that property. And those definitions, there's very set definitions for rehabilitation period and development period. So the matching educational property tax assistance for eligible properties under the province's Brownfield Financial Tax Incentive Program, or through any other programs that the Ministry of Finance provides, it really is subject to an application and approval by the Ministry of Finance, and it's based on a case-by-case basis of their review. And next slide. So this is one of our, these are our new programs that we're identifying as part of our 2022 update. And the first one is the Affordable Housing Loan Program. And the Affordable Housing Loan Program is a new program intended to encourage the creation of new affordable rental housing units and to offset the upfront cost for creating affordable rental housing units. So this program identifies eligible opportunities for non-owner occupied projects as well as eligible owner occupied projects. And for non-owner occupied projects are developments that create 2 or more new purpose-built secured affordable rental housing units where the owner enters into agreement with the municipality in consultation with the Grey County. And it's about securing the rental rate for the units at or below the maximum affordable rate based on the proposed unit type, the size, the local market conditions, and really such agreement that we'd get into would be for a period of not less than 10 years. For owner occupied properties where 1 or more accessory apartment dwelling units is proposed in accordance with our municipal zoning bylaw, the owner shall also enter into agreement that is about securing those units. And that will also be for a year, not less than 10 years. And for any of these agreements under this program, it will restrict the use of these units being used for commercial short-term accommodation during that period, that term of the agreement. The surplus lands and building program. So this program it outlines lands and buildings that are deemed to be surplus by the needs of the municipality, in which have potential for affordable housing that include securing as far as rental housing units and purpose-built affordable units. So anything that would further the objectives of the CIP can be offered for sale at a reduced or no cost through a request for proposal or an RFP. And that RFP, in that RFP, the municipality would identify the lands, the buildings that are surplus, as well as define the project-specific standards or criteria for that to be achieved. And the last one that I have for you is the Tourism Destination Loan Program. And this focuses on local publicly accessible community destination spaces, including our municipal owned properties, with the intention of investing in infrastructure that supports the creation of public spaces, which will enhance tourism and attraction of the public to our spaces and can really contributing to an overall positive experience. The loan encourages stakeholders and organizations to upgrade and invest in the infrastructure assets of our destination locations. So As the next steps, thank you, Derek. I received some input on the CIP from community and the Great County, and those the comments that I received so far are really input that focuses on minor word edits and clarifications for program eligibility on a couple of the incentive programs. So what we're going to do is all the comments that we receive, we will be compiling them, and that will be detailed in our staff report that is presented back to council for final approval. So our next steps is that we want to take in all the comments that we received today and that are generated after this meeting, as well as comments that we received from the Ministry of Municipal Housing and Affairs. So they have the document right now, and we're waiting for comments back from them. And that will allow us to do final revisions and be able to bring back a final report and draft bylaw that we're planning to bring back towards the end of the month to council. The only timing change that might be for that is if we don't get the ministry's comments back in a timeline that would meet us finalizing agenda and getting it forward to council. So with that, I will turn it back over to Madam Mayor for any questions that might be had by our participants or by council.
Thank you very much, Janet. Very thorough report and a lot of work undertaken for sure. We don't have anyone registered for a virtual presentation, and I will ask if there is anyone in the audience who wishes to comment for or against, or just a comment on our community improvement plan. Please come forward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors. I'd just like to applaud the municipality for such an impressive CIP program. And I know that Meaford leads the way really for the county in terms of community improvement program.
Sir, can you tell us who you are, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Reed Barrett. I'm a resident here in Meaford. I serve on the Economic Development Advisory Committee.
Thank you.
So I applaud the efforts of the municipality. This seems to have touched a lot of hot buttons on what needs to be done. And I think that the return, the payback for every dollar spent, it seems that you're reaping $4 to $5 of private sector money. So it looks like a very good return. I'll be interested in some of the parameters as it gets fleshed out further in terms of caps and how much the private sector has involved versus municipality. So some of these are still to be fleshed out, but it looks good at the first blush. So thank you for the efforts.
Thank you for that, Reed. Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When the CIP first come on board to me, I thought it was a very small part of their municipality, but this report shows that it's major, and I really like what you've pulled together. I didn't think it was this in depth. Mr. Reed talks about parameters. The parameters are already set, are they not? We have the parameters, they've been set they're inside that, Mr. Reed. They may change, but they're there now.
Yes, and through you, Madam Mayor, I think some of the parameters that you might see more of is through the applications that we get on an annual basis to be able to see based on the different applications, the different funding and incentive programs we use, how that funding is divvied up between the different programs and whether they're grants and loans. And then you'll see differences in that investment versus what we've put in and what private investment is. And you'll see some more of those parameters.
Thank you, and hats off.
Councillor Bell.
No, thanks, Madam Mayor. And so with your presentation this afternoon, becomes more than obvious that there's a lot of programs that are available with a lot of different headings that people would basically say that applies to me. When we receive this report later on in the month, will there be any comments for our future considerations in budget? I think we're at 50,000 currently. And with every one of these headings, will staff maybe be looking at usage and whether we need to maybe enhance the value of our budget? I can see that we're going to need more, actually.
I think that's something that when we get all the comments in and look at everything how this compiles, and we look at what we have for funding right now that we approve, and I think the other thing that we have to take into consideration is funding. The last couple of years, we've got funding available that we haven't actually used yet. And I think we have to take that into consideration as well and look at, here's what will allow us to go forward in the next couple of years. And then here's how we approach further out. So our short-term, mid-term, long-term, to make sure that this program has got the right funding sources to support it and have it for its long-term sustainability.
Thanks.
Councillor Greenfield.
Thanks, Your Worship. Thanks, Janet. Very good report, very inclusive. And I'm so glad that our municipality did get into this program a number of years ago. I have to admit, I was a little apprehensive at the start, but it's been a benefit. It's been a bonus for our municipality. Now, I know you haven't been with us for too long, but and we started into the entire municipality late, or at least later. There was originally an urban directed program. Do you feel that the agricultural community has taken enough? I don't like to use the term taken advantage, but I guess that's what they're invited to do. Are they? Do you think they're, I guess, first of all, aware enough of this program, and do you think they have been buying into it as much as the urban area has?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you. It's a great question. I certainly can't speak to, like you said, the time that I wasn't here to know from 2016 when the economic development program came into place between it and 2020 to say how much. I know that in looking through past history, there certainly has been grants and loans provided to our agricultural community. So there is awareness out there. And I think that what we're getting into with this 2022, I think really the advantage of it is the fact that we're putting, it's no longer 2 documents, it's 1 document. So it makes it a lot easier and user-friendly for us to promote it and educate it and get the word out and be able to talk to all of our community members that have eligibility to this, to have them uptake on this and realize the benefit to it. And, you know, there has been, I have to say, I know it's been a little bit slower since COVID came in. There's still remained a lot of interest. I've certainly had a lot of inquiries on the community improvement plan. But I think things have just been a little bit slower as people were hesitant and pacing themselves going through whatever investment that they wanted to do within their properties and businesses. But I'm still seeing a lot of interest, and certainly this year I am seeing another uptake in interest as people are really rolling up their sleeves and getting ready to getting to work. So I'm optimistic that we can promote and enhance and have that people who are interested in it come to the table.
If I may just follow up. Thanks, Your Worship. Thanks, Janet, for that. I'm wondering, and here again, maybe only my impression, but the term value added, back when that seemed to come on the scene 10 or 15 years ago, referring to farm products. And usually then it was selling a bit of honey out at the roadside, or some maple syrup, or I know we had a neighbor not too far away who raised 40 chickens a year to be sold at Thanksgiving time. That was value added. But is that, can that be kind of a deceiving term? Like I'd like to think the grant is or the loan is open to many more incentives and initiatives in the agricultural community.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I think the advantage, and I find that the best part of working through the CIP is talking to each of the applicants and having them come forward and actually talking about what it is that they want to do, to see how it fits within the community improvement plan and how their project might have some benefit to some incentives here. So I think not getting hung up so much on value added and getting into what it is that they want to do and how that fits within the parameters that we've laid out.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. And again, thank you, Janet, for such a comprehensive presentation. We really appreciate all your efforts in preparing this CIP for us today. And I also wanted to thank, because we have Mr. Taylor here from the county, to thank the county for their support of our plan as well. So I did have two questions for you, Janet. You mentioned, I believe, an uptick of $82,000 over the past 3 years. So is there a CIP reserve then for the funds that have not been utilized?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there is in our, we have an account that for CIP funds coming in and out. So there would be would you call it a reserve? Yeah.
Yeah, just to clarify, there has been some years, probably since first year it was pretty much all used. 2014 and on, we've had not all funds have been expended and it's gone into a reserve. The last couple of years though, the commitment from council has only been 30,000 with 20,000 coming out of the reserve. So yes, we do have a reserve that is in place. As I've indicated, I think in the past, is if we get one of those high priority applications, in particular for an affordable housing project, we might need some of that reserve fund to really have a useful purpose of getting the housing, because the financial need for that is probably greater than some of the renovations that we've provided. So it's good to have that reserve fund for those particular applications. The other thing I'll add, it's completely at council's discretion on whether something qualifies or not. We work through them, try to get the applications to a point, but a report has to come to council to ultimately grant the incentives to, and that's where we have those discussions with council on applicability.
To follow up, if I
Please
may,
go
Your
ahead.
Worship. And I appreciate that, Mr. Armstrong, because it leads right into my second question. Recognizing our grave need for affordable housing and how incentives might encourage that. Have we done any sort of comparator analysis with other municipalities in our area to see if they are in the same 50 and 20 bracket that we are, or are other communities investing more in their CIPs? Where do we stand?
No, through Madam Mayor, we know that as far as our other municipalities within Grey County are getting the 20,000 contribution, but as far as what the levels are for the different CIPs in the municipality and their funding commitments, I do not have that information.
Scott doesn't either. So
No.
there's
Do our own thing.
I'm just wondering, Janet, if there has been an uptick in number of applications that come in. We haven't been in the extended programs for perhaps a significant amount of time to really get a sense of that. But with such a variety in application possibilities, I would expect that the uptick will increase significantly.
Certainly the uptick will increase just from the amount of conversations that I'm having and the amount of new entrepreneurship that's coming into the community and people understanding and checking out our website to see that we do have these incentive programs. In most cases, the response I'm getting is that people are very excited to see those types of programs being available to them. And it's just a matter of working within their timelines. I do have several applications that I'm working on finalizing right now to be able to bring that back forward to council. So I agree, you're going to see some more uptake. We're certainly getting a lot of people asking questions and inquiring about it.
Rob?
The other thing is, Your Worship, before pre-COVID, we used to always have and pre-Janet, we used to have a spring launch where we sent out a pamphlet and did a bit of motion on the application. We had the intake of applications with a deadline, and we bring a comprehensive with all those applications to council. When COVID hit, sort of things got parked and we never did it. But I think once we get the updated community improvement plan in place, our desire is to reinstitute that program again, the launch, the promotion, and then a collective intake to bring it back.
And to follow up with a question about the potential for requiring or needing more funds for this program, all of these programs, are there any other funding opportunities on the horizon, do you think, or that might there be for economic development purposes? Grants and things like that might contribute to the
Certainly, we're going to keep an eye out to see what's going to come through, whether it's provincially and federally, and we're always going to have our ear to the ground to if there's opportunities that we can be able to grab onto those.
Great. Councillor Kentner.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to our CAO, Rob. I know you're not the treasurer, but can you tell us what is in the reserve fund in round figures?
To Your Worship, not at this point, but we'll include that amount in the report when it comes back to council on what that amount is.
And if I could just ask another question here, I see where there are appendices and there's some discussion of the Heritage Conservation District boundary and so forth. And I was interested in references to special policy areas 1 and 2. And it wasn't really clear to me why what those references really mean.
To Your Worship, those were areas that were added in the 2015 update that Janet spoke to, and they were brownfield provisions. In 2015, when we brought those in, it was the brownfield provisions for property cleanup in relation to redevelopment. Those sentences, so those are just carried forward. So that was the reference for special policy area 1 and 2, I believe.
Thank you.
Seeing no further questions, I will thank you again, Janet and Rob, for all of the work that has been done on this to date. It's a very exciting program and obviously has borne results. So that spells success, and we're real happy to hear that. Thanks again for that. And thank you for everyone who has attended here this afternoon, have provided comments, and to those who have tuned in as well. Again, we will look forward to the staff report that comes back to council with further comments, with all of the compilation of all the comments and input into this community improvement plan, and to at that time assist us in the passing of a bylaw. Again, I will reiterate for those who are listening, if anyone wishes to have a mailed notice of a future decision on this file, please provide your contact information to Janet, Manager of Strategic Initiatives, by email at ecdev@meaford.ca. And that brings us to the close of our planning meeting. I want to thank everyone again for attending, and I will declare this meeting adjourned.